So as we found out this morning, Daisy May has not quite figured out what time zones are, and so this morning she was up at the ripe hour of 4:45 in the morning, which is quite early, and I anticipate that it's going to happen tomorrow. It is like when we go to sleep, it's like pitch black in here, so I think it's just her internal clock. Back in Bentonville, she'd get up at like 5:30 in the morning, so it makes sense that she's getting up now at 4:30 in the morning. Anyway, I know it's gonna come way too early in the morning, and I'm one of those people that, like, when I get up, I like to have a cup of coffee. I like to, like, kind of pretend to start my day, but not really. So I'll, like, have a cup of coffee, read the internet for a little while, and then go back to bed until like 7 o'clock, which feels like I got to sleep in for 2 hours. It's like this weird little mind game that I play. But anyway, I thought it'd be fun to show you my coffee routine on van life, at least day 3. I anticipate that my routine will stay the same because it's very simple and it makes delicious coffee. So my coffee setup is really simple. I just have a little hand grinder. It works perfectly fine. I put the beans up here, and then the grinds come out down here, and no electricity is required, and it's really tiny because I'm just making coffee for myself. So that is how I grind the beans, and I'll show you that process in just a minute. And then to actually make the coffee, I have this little GSI collapsible filter, so you don't need like paper filters or anything. This thing is like $10 and it is incredible. I highly recommend it. And then once a hipster, always a hipster, and I will use mason jars for life. And so I just put it on here, and then I brew up my coffee, and I usually will add some like cream or soy milk, depending on what I'm feeling for the day. But I'll show you that tomorrow morning. Let's get to grinding some beans. So the beans, I'm really excited to open this bag. This is true Colombian coffee beans, directly from Colombia. I have a friend, he's an old coworker of mine actually, he comes through Bentonville every once in a while for work, and he's about the same height as me. He's a little bit taller, but my Cannondale Super 6 Evo fits him perfectly, and he's a big gravel cyclist. So yeah, whenever he comes to town for work, I usually let him borrow that bike, and he brings me coffee beans, and it's a really great friendship. So thank you, Daniel, if you're watching this. Let me open these. It's really floral and kind of notes of like cherry. I'm not good at describing things, especially coffee, but it's like a, so I do know Spanish, so I'm going to read this. The descripción: café con notas a chocolate, aroma a frutos secos, cuerpo medio, I don't know that word, acidez media, café balanceado. So my impression is that notes of chocolate, notes of fruits, I don't know what secos means, I'll look that up, but it's like a medium roast, and that's exactly what it smells like and what it looks like. So I didn't realize I was going to nerd out on coffee so much, but maybe that'll be my thing, is like when I go places I'll try out the best local coffee roaster. So I need to know where the best coffee roaster in Fort Collins, Colorado is at. If you've got recommendations for Fort Collins, Whitefish, Montana, Tig Valley, Oregon, or Tag Valley, I don't know how you say it, I should look that up. Spokane, I should know that. Spokane is my hometown, but I don't know what coffee roasters are good these days. Yeah, so then back to the task at hand. Hello, ADHD. You just pour some beans in. If I was smart or actually cared a whole lot, I would measure and like have a scale, but also like that's ridiculous to have a scale on van life. But I know there's people that are very serious about their coffee, so I'm not gonna yuck their yum. But basically I just fill up the little chamber. I'm dropping a bunch of beans. That's okay. I'll have another video that shows you how I keep this place clean. In such a tiny living space, it's important to keep things tidy and organized. So, I lost the lid. How does this always, there we go, I found it. So put the lid on, and then it's just a little hexy doodad. and we grind. You gotta switch hands sometimes because you gotta be ambidextrous, right? Still grinding. This is why I do this at night, because I don't want to do this at 4:30 in the morning. I just want my coffee. So that was a lot of work for not that much coffee grounds, but I think it just gives you an appreciation for all the work that goes into growing these coffee beans and getting them here. And coffee should be a process, I think, because it's a luxury item, and we should be grateful for what we have. So cheers, and I'll see you at 4:45 in the morning when I make myself this coffee that is going to be delicious. So as expected, Daisy May got up at 4:30 in the morning to go outside, and I am going to play my little game with myself where I make my coffee and then I go back to bed for a couple hours, and it feels like the lap of luxury. So follow along as I make my coffee. And that, my friends, is how I'm making coffee on this van life trip. Thanks for following along. I'll put links to both the coffee filter and the grinder that I'm using in the notes below. And yeah, sure, it takes a little bit of time, but it's honestly a nice meditative thing to do before I go to bed. If you like what I'm doing, give me a like, give me a subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know what else about van life you are curious about.